I love you. We want to welcome you to the Nyumba Upendo show. That means the house of love. And again, this is a day where we need to be inside that house of love. We woke up and the sun, not shining, but the sun came up. We still breathing. We still walking. We grateful and thankful for that. Again, you're listening to Nyumba Upendo Show with Kweku Amawasi. Our other host, Dr. Alicia Mutri, is not in today, but she will be back in a couple of weeks. You're listening on WNOV 860 AM 106.5. But remember, you can join in live on YouTube and Facebook. And if you got to leave from the radio because you can't hear it all day, we got the link that you could come back to us. So just click in on WNOV. Make sure you follow us. We're going to get it ready. Now, I can't start the show until I do my P&Ps. And they say, well, what's that? Well, in the tradition of our ancestors, it is always customary that we get permission from an elder to speak before we speak, to show that level of respect. So my mother's giving me permission, but she's also giving me my other P, and that's a prayer. And she was nervous today. She was like, hey, be careful. You know, that man, that there's one president, he gonna do some things to the people who might not agree with him. I said, I must speak the truth, but I always speak the truth in love. And before we get into the show, I always like to put it in the spirit of an ancestor. And that ancestor today is Jimmy Lee Jackson. And that name may sound familiar to some. For others who it doesn't, you remember he was the 26-year-old young man who was killed in Alabama when he was just trying to get his right to vote. He just left a rally. He was killed in front of his mother, in front of his grandfather. Martin Luther King Jr. actually did his eulogy, and they used him as an example as one of those names of who we don't remember, but paid the ultimate sacrifice for us. And so when we start to think about what could be in our future, there's no reason to be afraid because we already have a map of what was done for us by those who were so brave. But I also want to give a shout out to a fraternity brother of mine, brother by the name of Anthony Rice. His birthday's coming up November 17th, so a happy early born day. But I want to have everybody to lift him up in prayers as he just lost his wife.
Yes.
And the reason why I said it is because, everybody woke up with the election on their mind. What are we going to do? But we still got real problems. We still got bills to pay. We're still dealing with death. We're still dealing with depression and anxiety and frustration and all of these other different things. So as we start to talk about like what's going on in this world, I think what we need to do is to make sure we do something really careful. And that's not to let us ourselves get overwhelmed with sadness. I was looking at Facebook today, and it was so funny. It was like so many gloom and doom and sad things that was going on. And something came on my thread. It was by a lady named Venice Williams. And I just like to read this. And I want to make sure everybody know these are not my words, but these are the words of Sister Williams. And this is what she said. She said, you are awakening to the same country you fell asleep to, the very same country. Pull yourself together. And when you see me, don't ask me, what do we do now? How do we get through the next 4 years? Some of my ancestors dealt with at least 400 years of this under worse conditions. Continue to do the good work. Continue to build bridges, not walls. Continue to lead with compassion. Continue the demanding work of liberation for all. Continue to dismantle broken systems, large and small. Continue to set the best example for the children. Continue to be a vessel of nourishing joy. Continue right where you are, right where you live into your days. Do so in the name of the Creator who expects nothing less from each of us. And if you are not continuing all of the above in community, partnership, and collaboration, what is it you have been doing? What is it you are waiting for? And I say that on the backdrop because I have in the studio today a man that I looked up and admired to. Sometimes you get to meet your heroes, people who you never met. You hear their name in the newspaper, you see them on the news and things of that nature. And then he ended up becoming a fraternity brother of mine. So I got to share in a different kind of community. But I have in the studio with us brother Mike Mayo. He was formerly county supervisor over the 7th district, I believe. He served 7 terms successfully.
I was on the board for 24 years.
Oh, my goodness. When we talk about a lifetime of service, and we're going to get into that a little bit later, but I just want you to think about what he said. And I remember when you resigned, one of the things that I appreciated was you said, I'm going to do this early so the people who want to run can have ample time. And we saw what happened with Sister Kamala when she didn't have a lot of time to really get her strategy together, because you said, I love my district enough that if I'm not going to be here, I want them to have a full chance to see who could be the potential replacement, that's going to come. And so when we talk about that level of leadership, it's one of those things that I think about is like, what are we doing when we say we're going to give our life? And you don't necessarily have to be in a political sphere, but you do have to be in that service of giving to others and to self. Do we have our caller on the line? Carvey, brother Carvey, brother Cameron Barnes, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Brother Cameron Barnes, can you hear us?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you. I love to hear that voice. And let me tell you, I want to read just a little bit of the bio of this young man because I want you to know the type of show that you got coming. He is a rising national leader in Chicago, really nationwide. He has a fuel for activism and a goal to unify humanity. He is a class of the 2020 graduate of Central State University, HBCU, with a BS in marketing. He currently serves on the National Youth Director of Rainbow Push Coalition, working alongside his mentor, Reverend Jesse Jackson. With the unique opportunity to serve in that capacity, he works with the mission of Push, and their focus is to protect, defend, and gain civil rights. He's also a licensed minister. He's an associate minister at New Faith Missionary Baptist Church. I hear him preaching online all of the time. He serves under Pastor and First Lady Rudolph. But he's also a board member of You Matter Too, a youth empowerment organization in Homewood, Illinois. And Brother Mayo, you'd like to hear this too. He is a member of the Omega Psi Phi fraternity. Welcome to the show, Brother Cameron.
It's always good to be with you, brother. Since we've met back in the struggle, in the midst of the fight, you've been consistent and wonderful ever since. And so I'm glad that we finally get a chance to share on this platform. And certainly happy to be here among your other illustrious guests as well. I'm trying to get somewhere and serve for 24 years as well.
Well, I'm glad that you heard the bio of Brother Michael Mayo, because what I want him to do is to really break down for us in the beginning. You served as county supervisor, but sometimes I don't know if people really understand what that is, because you can have anywhere to like 53,000 people under your jurisdiction. What is it like? As we talk about like dealing with the aftermath of elections, emotional things, what is it like as it relates to running, to serving and not getting the help from the constituency, from getting help from the constituency, but maybe not the things you're doing, getting the light that it deserves, but the negative things being blown up? How is it to be a true servant for the people?
Well, you have to be a servant. You really want to be a part of the community. You want to make sure you're helping people. You want to give them a helping hand, not a handout. I think our vice president did an excellent job with the shortest time that she had opportunity. But you got to realize there's a lot of people out there was hating.
Yeah.
And you look at that.
Now, what do you think the biggest part on the hating was? Was it because she was a woman, because she was a woman of color, or because she just wasn't the right person as far as the disposition for the position?
It's not the right person for the position. She was well qualified.
Okay.
I think it's because she was a woman. You can say that because she was a multicultural woman.
Mm-hmm.
That could be a concern. But let's break down the parameters. When you look at how the turnout of just with gender and race, 59% of white men voted for
Trump.
52% of women, white women, voted for
The
Trump.
ones who marched on the Capitol after he was elected in 2020, like we know we made a mistake.
Correct.
All right.
Now they kept saying black men. Only 20% they could say that black men.
So that means 4 out of 5 brothers did vote
for
that
Trump.
voted.
92%.
Kamala. 4 out of 5 voted for Kamala. 1 out of
Correct.
5 voted
I'm talking
for
about
Trump.
black women.
Oh, okay.
92% black women. Now let's go to our our Mexican brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And our other brothers who speak Spanish. 54% voted for Trump. Latino women, 61% voted for Kamala. And the other races, 45% voted for Trump. So people voted for who they thought would suit them.
Yeah.
I don't mind. Everybody, you're not going to ever get 100%.
No.
But everybody who did not
you
vote.
get 80 and 90%. Yeah. That's the biggest thing, those who did not vote.
Correct. When you don't vote, but then they complain and say, you're not working on my behalf.
Let me hold you there, because Cameron, I want to bring you in right here, because I know you had ran an election in Chicago, and you got a lot of steam behind it. Unfortunately, it didn't come out your way, and this wasn't just last night, but a little while ago.
Mhm.
What is the aftermath of after not being elected by the people who you love and serve so hard, but still saying, I'm committed to the game, I'm committed to the service with or without a title? Tell me, what's the emotional struggle that you go through with not winning, but then the wherewithal and courage you have to still continue in whatever capacity that you can?
Absolutely. I was the youngest person on the ballot in the 2023 Chicago municipal election. I ran for alderman on the Chicago City Council in the Ninth Ward, where I've been born and raised and third generation resident as of now. And the aftermath of having such an election, um, such results rather, that don't come out your way, sometimes you feel a little bit betrayed by those that you serve the most, because you get not so much as betrayal but disappointment that they couldn't come out in the record numbers that they should have and could have. Now, of course, in this kind of scenario, we're talking about a local municipal election and the federal election, which are going to have two very staunch different kinds of turnout, where you have upward of nearly 150 million people voting in a federal election, where you can't even get 10,000 people voting in
Mm.
your local municipal election. And so there is a staunch difference, but when you're committed to the work, you understand that the position is not what makes you able to then carry out the change. Just that office is not the only thing that allows you to perpetuate change in your community. And if you're a true servant leader, if you're a true public servant and not just a politician, then that loss will not only kind of just disappoint you, but it will also, of course, allow you to then regroup. See how then can you serve in a different capacity. See, you got to understand, when you're a public servant and not just a politician, when you're someone who's been a community advocate and you're passionate about what you're running for, it doesn't stop at the election. It doesn't stop at the ballot box. You just then rebrand and you find a way to get on other platforms like this show to be able to continue to lift up these kinds of issues. And not more than that, you then also have to understand that when you run, just because you didn't win doesn't mean somebody didn't hear you. Doesn't mean that those issues were not raised and the questions were not raised for that person who does have that office to say, that candidate did raise a good question. Why aren't we doing things this way? Why are we marginalized in such a way that we are not able to breathe in the South Side of Chicago or whatever election that we are pertaining this conversation to? It allows you to then make the voice and the issue continuously heard, and then you can find different ways to be able to continue to fight.
My good brother, I agree with you, but when you lost, because I ran a Senate race
Mm-hmm.
and I did not overcome
All
to
right, come on.
become the
Mm-hmm.
senator, but you look within yourself and feel, how can I help the community still? And that's the reason why I have 24 years on there. I didn't run away and say, well, nobody wanted my information. I have a wealth of knowledge, and I think you have a wealth of knowledge, but you got to share that with people. Got to
Mm-hmm.
make sure that people understand that you might not win, but you still could serve within this community and make sure people have a right to know what's going on.
Hey, that's a great point. And I'm going to ask a question. I want both of you to respond to this, because I'm hearing the wisdom of when you go through trials and difficulties, and usually you have an inner circle of people who can reach your ear at that time of frustration, of being down, of questioning, of confusion. Cameron, I'll start with you. I want you to tell me. I know you get a chance to walk in some great circles with being with Brother Jackson, Reverend Jesse Jackson Jr. What was some of the best advice that you've heard or that you talked to, maybe from like an Al Sharpton or Maxine Waters, or any of those people that you've got a chance to kind of touch shoulders with, that helped you to understand what you do? And I want you to chime in after him, Brother Mayo.
You know, from Reverend Jackson, Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr., there's so many different idioms that has correlated throughout the corridors of time. The ground is no place for a champion. He's always mentioned to us, we've never lost a battle that we fought, and we never won a battle unless we fought.
Come on, say that again. When we say something that's so good, we do an instant replay. I want you to say that one
And
more time, Brother Barnes.
Reverend Jackson, yes, would say, we have never lost a battle that we fought, and we've never won a battle unless we fought. And so, as Brother Mayo is just saying, you then have to go within yourself and then keep the fight going. It does not matter if you're not in that position. First of all, and I'm a believer, of course, of God, I do believe that the Lord orchestrates time far beyond our understanding. Because you didn't win this position does not mean that there is not another position that you will be allowed to share this information, disseminate this kind of knowledge to the people. Each one reaches one, each one teaches one. And so even if we are able to influence just a small number of people, but I'll say that from Reverend Jackson, I've learned those kinds of things from Congresswoman Waters and from Reverend Al Sharpton and all of those. We've learned to look at the wins. There is always some form of a win. And even in election 2024, there are some people who are upset, like myself. I don't have mind saying it. I supported Vice President Kamala Harris. I'm upset with the outcome of the presidential election, but I'm very happy to see what has now happened with the United States Senate. I'm not going to let just the presidential run dampen what kind of victories we got in election 2024. For the first time in American history, there are 2 Black women that are going to serve in the United States Senate, in Angela also Brooks from Maryland and Lisa Blunt Rochester from the state of Delaware. We've never had 2 Black women serving in the United States Senate, and they're only the 4th women to ascend to that after Carol Mosley Braun in
Out of
Illinois
Illinois.
and after Kamala Harris in California. There's only ever been 2 that served, and they didn't even serve at the same
At the
time.
same time, that's right.
At the same time, too, over in Tulsa, Oklahoma, you have now the first Black mayor to ever be elected in the rubble, if you will,
The Black
over
Wall
100
Street.
years later after the Tulsa Race Massacre. You have Maxwell Frost, who's been reelected, the first Gen Z that was elected ever into Congress of my generation, who's now been reelected in Florida's 10th congressional district. We focus on the wins, and we don't let everything that's negative drown out what the progress that we've made. We've made a lot of progress. We've got a lot further to go, but we're not going to act like we're not making some steps forward.
Yeah, and I liked it. And I want to thank you for correcting me, because I said Jesse Jackson Jr. and it was Jesse Jackson Sr. And I said it because I'm talking to Michael Mayo Sr. and I know how important that is. Brother Mayo, I want you to give me a best advice that you got. Maybe that wisdom, that elder that we can't get from the book, somebody from a time way back that gave you some words of wisdom that stuck with you.
Only thing I can tell anyone, keep the faith. Make sure you be around people who can give you advice, and do not disrespect your seniors because they can give you more advice than anybody else.
Yeah, that's one we need to repeat again.
Don't disrespect your seniors because they will give you sound advice. Because right now the young Gen Zs be looking at people like myself and say, we don't know what we're talking about, but we lived it, we understand, but give us opportunity. Come to us for advice. Just think about it and keep it in your mind, because education is important.
You know, what you say reminds me of some brother Orlando Rice taught me, and that was Kasedian in Jeddah. Something that the warriors of Kinza from Kenya, from the Maasai tribe, would ask each other. Kasedian and Jeddah, how are the children? They didn't ask what's the state of the company, what's the state of our village or whatnot. They said, how are the children? Because they knew the generation, as the children was good, everything else was good. And I think what we have to do is say, what is that divide between those generations? Hey, listen, when you come back, we're going to get into some real questions. So remember, you're listening to Nyumba Upendo, House of Love with Dr. Kwaku Amawasi, better known as the Blacksmith. We love you, Milwaukee. Tune in. We're going to get through this together. So I want to come out the gate with this because a lot of people are asking, what do we do now? And I said, we can't do anything until we're good with ourselves. As a boxer, when you get knocked down, your coach, the first thing they say is, hey, stay down, take that 8 count. Don't get up too soon because your equilibrium's still off. Let yourself get settled. Even if you're good and you want to show your opponent you weren't hurt, so just stay down, take that minute. So what I'm telling everybody is this: sometimes we got to take an 8 count where you say, I need a minute to sit down. I don't want to go to work. I don't want to do this. That's okay. It's okay to sit down. But I read somewhere, I heard somewhere, rest if you must, but just don't you quit. So Brother Mayo, I'm gonna start with you, and Brother Barnes, I want you to come in afterwards, and I want you to tell the people what is something we can do to protect our minds. Maybe something that you've done, something you know other people is doing, but in a state where you say there's a bit of disarray, a bit of unknown. What am I doing to protect my mental state, my emotional state?
Well, for me, I pray. I also take out time in a quiet spot, play some music, and think about how you can help yourself and your family. If this community is going to do anything, we got to hold everybody accountable. I don't care who you voted for, but we have people in there now. If we don't hold them accountable, then we will be in a sadder state.
I love that. Pray in music. Brother Barnes, what can you tell people that they need to do for themselves? You can use yourself as an example of other things that you've heard other people just in this short time.
I certainly subscribe to prayer myself. I've been prayerful since last night, even going into the election results, because if you watch politics like this, then many times you can kind of predict how some things are going to go. And so I've been bracing myself since last night. Anyhow, I would say to folks what I've always done. Um, Brother Jonathan Jackson, Reverend Jackson's son, who's now representing United States Congress, First Illinois Congressional District. He had a saying during his time as the spokesperson of Rainbow Push, and that was, well, we don't want to fix the blame, we want to fix the problem. And so I've always looked at that in every sense. And by doing that, I'm looking at, like you said, we may have been metaphorically knocked down, those of us who are on this side of the election. And I'm looking at not jumping up right away. I'm looking at grounding myself to understand what now is the 4-year strategic plan. We have to understand we've elected now a lame duck president, and it's something that we've not seen since the 1800s with Grover Cleveland when he was the 22nd and then subsequent 24th
Yes,
president in 1885 to 89, and then 1893 to 1897. So we've not seen this in modern American history. Um, all we need is a 4-year strategic plan. In 2028, Donald Trump is going to be leaving, whether a Republican or a Democrat comes in. We're getting ready for another political frenzy in 28 that we've never seen before, when you have Democratic and Republican primaries vying for who will be the two candidates in 2028. So this is not the time to sulk. This is not the time to then get down. We need to pray. We need to keep God first, but we must then make a strategic plan as to how we're going to get through the next 4 years, and what that will then set us up for the next subsequent maybe 4 to 8 years as well. This is a game of chess, not checkers.
And I love that. I'm about to get right to you, brother Mayo. I'm gonna tell you, when we talk about what do we do, sometimes for yourself, it's not also being alone. Like you say, you pray, you commune with God. What I got a chance to do is our international grand boss, this brother Ricky Lewis, had a Zoom call and have a political watch party. And when and we have brothers who are on both sides, if
Correct.
we're being honest. And so it wasn't so much as far as a partisan, but to be able to fellowship. But now when the election didn't go that some people thought, those people stayed on. And we stayed on. I was telling Brother Mayo to 3:30 a.m. in the morning, Brother Barnes.
My
And we were just
goodness.
talking, doing what you were saying, strategizing, because we stopped thinking about just ourselves. We
Mhm.
needed a moment to be able to sit down and think. But sometimes when you're a helper, and this is the caveat I put to all of the helpers out, sometimes we so quick to want to help other people, we forget that I do got to take a moment for myself, because we went right into strategy, into action. What can we do for the community? What white paper are we going to write? What are we going to present? What are the different things that we can do to be a benefit, because we are a service organization? And I love that, not as far as us trying to get together, but it was the community of just being with like-minded individuals who were still trying to process everything. How did this happen? You be the Monday morning quarterback. Hindsight is 2020. You wonder what could have been different, what should have been different, what were the things that we missed, and you get so busy on wanting to fix the problem that you don't just take that moment for yourself. So again, we to the community, we say take that moment for yourself. It's different for everybody, but take what you need. And then the second part of that protect comes to what we're saying. How do we protect our community? I know you wanted to say something, Brother Mayo.
Only thing I want to say, make sure people, we talking about the community, but you got to look at that project 2025. They want to destroy public schools. They want to go after black colleges. If we don't continue to try to fight for our education, we will go backwards. And you have one thing you're talking about. How can we look? If we don't forget the past,
Come on.
because the past will start going to repeat itself. So we need to bring that past into the future, so we can make sure that we are, as a community, come together. He talked about the brother in Tulsa. We don't want that to happen again, but they want to take the black institutions out. They want to take out even people who want to work with black people. Say, we don't want you to do that because you're discriminating. We got to make sure we got to start fighting for our rights and demand for black America. Because you look at Asian, you can look at the LGBTQ
Now, I
community.
want you to hold that, because we're gonna go there on that third part where we talk
Okay.
about giving gaining civil rights. But Brother Cameron, what I want to ask you is this, because I know you are a helper, I know you're a man of the cloth. So your first thing is, so how do I protect the sheep? How do I help those who I serve? What is some of the things that, even though we say we have to do self-care, when it goes from okay, I'm okay, I've prayed, I've got my mind ready, I'm ready to go back and try to do some things to help the others. What are some things you have in your mind with the organizations you serve with to be able to benefit and help our community?
Well, the first thing is, one, as you mentioned, being a member of the clergy. The Bible gives us to know that when thou art converted, we ought to strengthen our brother and
Mm.
sister. So once we have come to that realization in our own self, we got to begin checking on our community and our peers to be sure that no one has checked out, no one has completely obliterated the political process and lost all faith in this. It is okay to have faith in God that we will be all right as a people, but to still be disappointed in the reality of politics. That can coexist.
Hmm.
You can have faith in God and disappointment in government at the same time. And so I think that what we ought to be doing is being sure that we are still coalition building, as the Rainbow Push Coalition is a myriad of patches in a quilt, as Reverend Jackson has always said. Each one of us bring a unique patch to this quilt. And if we're going to continue to cover America, I need a patch from every one of these 50 states. I need a patch from every one of these cities, every one of these counties, every one of these races, creeds, religions, sexual orientations. Everybody is still valuable in the genetic makeup of America, this melting pot of a country where we are to pursue this American dream. So we have to continue coalition building, checking on your brother and your sister and letting them know there is still a way for us to forge a new way forward, even in the uncertainty of politics, but the certainty of faith.
I love that. I love that. And I just want to right now let everybody know you're listening to Nyumba Upendo House of Love on WNOV 860 AM, 106.5 FM. I got to give major thanks to Brother Jermaine and Brother Carvey who are making the show go flawlessly as always. All love and respect to them. This is definitely a team effort, and without them, the show cannot be what it is. And I think what I love about even inside of this studio right now is on the phone we have a Generation Z. On the phone and inside of working the audio that you own, Brother Barnes, is another Z. He close to almost being an alpha. and we got a baby boomer. We got Xers up in the house. And I think it's going to take this type of coalition for us to build, as you said, not only through the states, but through the generations. And so when we're talking about protecting, we say, how do I protect myself? How do I protect my community? But Brother Mayo, you had said something before, to respect the seniors. Sometimes I think the youth don't respect the seniors because they don't feel like they were taught, they were educated, they were loved enough. And it's a distance between them. You know, we always talk about the old neighborhood where the neighbor could spank you, the neighbor could command you, could walk you down, could do different things to you. But that's also because it was a love, it was a relationship, it was a true community. And when we lost that community, it's hard to have the discipline without the love. So what I want to talk about now is how do we, especially in these times when you see that we were looking at stats, that 51% of the voters 18 to 29 voted for Trump. And everybody has a right to vote for who they want to, but then you always ask yourself, do I really know what I'm voting for? If I just heard the rhetoric and propaganda and was easily moved a different way, what was the thing and how? So my question is, how do we protect, and with that protect, educate, specifically when we start to talk about things that could be as dangerous as Project 2025? What do we do to protect our youth, to regain, to restore that relationship? And then I'm gonna come to you, Brother Barnes and Carvey. If you want to jump in at any time, you know the mic is always ready for you.
Well, you know, you have to come as a community, get to know your neighbor. When you see young people, don't run off. When a senior see a young person, they want to run the opposite direction. They need to start engaging and talking to each one. Talk to people, not talk at people.
Yeah.
And so it's one thing about this community in Milwaukee. I'm used to be able to walk around and not, before I'm in politics, I talk to everyone. We don't talk to each other anymore. We in our own little silos. We have our own special groups. And when you say coalition,
don't be afraid of each other.
That's it.
That's big. That's big. Brother Barnes, I want you to hold. We got a caller on the line. Caller, you got a question or a comment for us?
Hey, good afternoon to you, big brother.
How you doing, King? We're going to have a good day today. We're going to have a good day today, Brother Meach.
Listen, I hear your conversation piece, right?
Peace, King.
And I think it's a great thing. But brother, what you're doing, you know, you can check me if I'm wrong. What you're doing is leaving off. You're starting where we left off at. We have a new song to sing, my man. We started talking about we must fight. We got to fight. So who we fighting? Is we fighting ourselves? We got to get together. We got to protect our people. Now, what we got to do is get to the table because Wisconsin black men voted 20%. And you know them votes came out of Milwaukee, man, okay? I'm not going to let them trick us talking about Latino vote and all that because their voting base is not, it doesn't even equal ours. If they voted 100%, their voting block wouldn't equal the 20% that we put down.
Hey, Meach, so I respect you, Meach, but I don't understand quite what you're asking. So I want you to get to the question so we can have that civil discourse so you can get a true answer to your question. Because from what I'm hearing, you said, like we're saying for a fight. I don't want to fight. So if I said that, I was unclear. What I do is want unity. You got to recognize that, but there is struggle within and without.
But Quay,
okay.
How you going to get unity How you gonna get unity if you talking about unity within us or unity with other people?
Oh, when I say unity, that when I say nakupenda, I say I love you to everybody. For those who agree and don't agree with me, if you heard the beginning of the show, I read some words from Venice Wilson and Williams, excuse me, and what I said is, regardless of what side you think you won on, as Cameron Barnes said, everybody had a side, and if your side didn't win, that poem went for everybody. It's about what are we doing to uplift all? What are we doing to uplift everybody?
Okay,
but because this is the voice, the
brother.
black community radio station, we know that black people are not a monolith. We have great heterogeneity within our culture, and I think that's what can make us strong. We don't have to agree on everything to agree on the best things. And the thing is that we do want to be treated like human beings. We do want equal rights. And I think if we can get the goal of what do we all agree on, if we don't agree on everything, what's the big things, that's where we start to reverse engineer from. So that's where I was going.
Okay, listen,
so
man.
So you tell me, you enlighten me, Brother Meech, because my ears is open.
My man, you just spit that eloquently. Boy, you good. I liked it. That was eloquent.
Okay, let me hit a butt, because I know that butt is coming, Meech.
No, but hold on. No. You did that eloquently. We must get to the table in a hurry because there's other groups, the Muslims that stood on stage that wasn't scared, okay? The Jews that everybody thought was gonna go against him, stood on stage with him. Look here, man, the Puerto Ricans is claiming 40% of the vote. The Hispanics, look, man, we got to get to the table. And we cannot do it by sitting back talking about we got to fight. We got to keep the fight going. Leave that to them old folk, man. See, when God got ready to bring Israel out that mess, he numbered the tribe. And I hate to say it, but everybody under 20, over 21, God had to dismiss them, man, out the way so the new breeds, man, can go forth to the promised land. So what we got to do is if we don't get to the table, Quay, you know what's going to happen? We're gonna be sitting around. Now, what we gotta hope and pray that this dude understand where his help came from. All in Georgia, man. You don't get down to DeKalb County, man, and come out there with 18% of the black vote. Ain't nobody did. They used to getting 6, 7, 8% of the black vote. We up in the teens, brother. We got something to bargain with. But if we sit back and keep talking about we got to get the boots back in there. Man, look, I'm coming to the table with something. My thing I think will be good. I think the stuff that I'm fighting, you know, the school systems, the immigrant issue and the homosexual issue, that's all I really want. But it is some people that are saying, bro, we need this and that and program, and we did it. We did it. And guess what? I can say that I was one of those that was in the streets every day working our magic, man. So we cannot let this stuff go to waste, man. And then, you know, I just got to get off the phone, man, because I appreciate you just even listening to me. Go on ahead and blast me out, man. I'll listen to you on the other side.
Hey, we love you, Meech. Hey, and we need that voice. And the only thing I give a little pushback is I don't think we can leave the older people. I think we still need that wisdom. But you're right. I think that older wisdom does have to leave way for the younger voice and different thoughts, and all of us somehow come together at that table to make moves. I have no problem if a person wants to be a black Republican. I say, just make sure it's in your own best interest. If you are at that table, make sure you're fighting for our rights and for the rights of everybody else. We got another caller on, so stay with me, Brother Barnes. I want to get to our call, and then I'm going to let you get back to me. Caller, you on Nyumba Upendo with Brother Quay Kuamawasi. How can we help you? Question or comment?
I'm good, young man, but, you know, it's a sad morning to me because I'm looking at our people, and a lot of people didn't do their homework. You know, I look at the balance of this guy, Trump, and what he's offering and what he's done. If he was a different color, would they allow that guy in office, all these felonies and the things he's doing and who he really is?
Absolutely not. That's easy, no.
No, they would not. And the thing is, if they knew their past and what their parents and their grandparents has suffered under the hand of these type of people, they would have made sense of what they were doing, but the problem is they look at this internet, they look at the TV, and they go on what other people are saying instead of doing the homework for themselves.
Can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question?
Yes,
So I don't disagree with you that they need to be educated, and if they're going onto the internet, they're going to these other sources. The question is, why aren't they coming to us? Why aren't they coming to the older generation? Was it something that we did where they didn't feel comfortable, where we said, where we made them feel like we were not listening to them when they were younger, and so they went to other places? There's a reason for that disconnect. So
Sir,
before we just blame the young people, I think we also
right.
have to look within and take some level of accountability
Well,
of why.
Personally, I'm one of those people. I see a young man. I see a young man walking past me the day before yesterday, and he spoke. And I stopped him. I said, "Young man, thank you," because I like to talk to our young people.
Yes, sir.
I like to help educate our people. I'm one of those people, okay? And I'm a business owner in the community, but I love working with our young people. And I know they are scary. I'm a victim of gun violence. I got robbed. I got a bullet in my spine, one in my pelvic, one in my thumb.
And I'm grateful that you're still here, King.
But I'm still here to tell the story and help educate these people. But the problem here, sir, is that our people are so ignorant. They don't know, and they're not doing their homework. And we as a people, outside of this, even though Trump is in the office now, we still need to talk to our young people. We need to educate them.
But Brother Mayo want to jump in on your comment right here. So hold on. I want you to hear Brother Mayo, another baby boomer who was amen in what you were saying. I want to get his words on this mic with you.
Only thing I agree with what he's saying, but we got to talk to each other. And what I was going back to the other gentleman. If you at the table, make sure they hear you and hold them accountable, because you could be sitting at the table and they won't pay attention.
Yeah.
So when he was talking about that,
you can be included, but don't belong, don't have a voice.
No
seen
voice. But not heard.
You
know, spook who sit by the door.
Yeah.
You could be at the table and they don't see you.
But
you gotta hold them accountable.
Let me put it like this here. You at the table, they allow you to be at the table because they want this color face at the table. But they want a yes man. They want to give you a data boy, okay? At the table, but they're not doing anything for you at the table.
Sir, I want you to hold on one time, because we got Brother Cameron Barnes, who is of a Generation Z. I want him to respond to this, and for you to have an ability to talk to a younger person to hear what he says as he's been listening to these conversations. Brother Barnes.
You know, I'll have to start with the previous brother's comments, and as he mentioned that we didn't want to fight, but we had to get to the table. And I just wanted him to understand that to get the kind of results that he's looking for, you're not getting to the table without a fight. It's not gonna work unless you just one of those.
We never lost a battle we fought, but we never won a battle we didn't fight.
Exactly. So, you know, I'll say that on those last comments. I'll also say, again, back depending on my clergy status, the Bible gives us to know that the young man is made for war, while the older generation is made for wise counsel.
Yes, sir.
Both you can't exist without the other. The young man can't fight the war.
Say that scripture again.
The young man is made for war.
That's what
the old
get the young people at the table. But the
is
old
made for wise counsel. How
that's
can we,
Jeroboam?
And so
our younger people now do not believe in our elder people anymore, and there's a problem there. They won't talk to us. They won't talk to us, man. And then a lot of us fear them because what we do see as they have come from. But see, what they fail to realize, the divide and conquer of our people, they did this in the late 50s and the 60s when they gave the black woman a welfare check and put her husband out the house. The children didn't get any understanding of what a father and what a mother and how it's supposed to balance out.
So we thank you for your call, brother. We want you to keep listening to the show. Come in. We're coming up against a break, and we just want to tie this in a knot from what we were saying, so our callers get all of the rich information when that was said. Because I think the beauty of what we're saying is sometimes you saying the same thing. You saying the same thing. We all saying the same things, but we got to get there. Because Meech started. He was like, we got to get rid of these old people. I said, well, no, we can't get rid of the old. And I think Brother Barnes has said that. He said, the young is made for war. We made for battle. But the older is made for counsel, because if you don't have wise counsel, you don't count the cost. You go in recklessly, and then they get you there. And then what our last caller talked about was we see the plan and the design. It's the divide and conquer. Whether you believe in Willie Lynch and his full theory or not, we do understand that it's a divide and conquer. One of the reasons why Kamala is not there. You wanted to say something, Brother Barnes?
Wait, I did, because I've heard this quite often. Let me give you this quote that was given to me as it pertains to how young people and older people have to coexist. Reverend Jeanette Wilson, who's the senior advisor to Reverend Jesse Jackson and an attorney here, has always told me, never been there, can't tell been there how to get there.
Mm.
And I hated when she said that to me when I was about 15, 16 years old, because I didn't understand what she was talking about.
Brother Mayo said you got to repeat that again. Y'all dropping gems.
And I used to hate it, and she would say, Cameron, never been there, can't tell been there how to get there. It's not possible for us. We cannot throw away the older generation because we ain't never been there. When he just talked about it, when they did it in the 1950s and 60s, I wasn't there. So I can't tell been there how to get where we trying to go. When you can tell me they put a black woman on welfare, took the male out of the household, this attack on education that's been going on for decades and decades. How can
we read about it, but we can't talk about it from an experiential level?
We've read about it. We may have what we call new tactics and new ways to approach it, but we'll never be able to get where we're trying to go without the wise counsel of those who have already been there, done that, and have seen the successes, the highs, the lows. We've got a coalition build, and when I say coalition build, that's absolutely on the notion of different age groups.
But I want to also make sure we put this caveat in there, because there are some things, especially when we look at the age of technology, that young people can do that old people can't do.
Correct.
My mother need me to help her with some things with the TV. My friends that are a little elder need me to help them with some things. And so that goes both ways. And I think that's really how that generation conversation begins, because you say, how can we mix the old school with the new school to get the true school? What you got to say, brother?
Amen.
Brother Mayo.
Amen.
So listen, what we want to do is this then, is because I think this wraps it up with a bow, because we probably got about 7 minutes and we're going to break away to Reverend Al. And Brother Barnes, when I tell you that Reverend Al comes on at 12:58, he's coming on whether we get off or not. So we got about 7 minutes. We want to make sure these points are concise and to the point. We're talking about that last part. Because we did protect and defend. I think that was kind of in the same. But we want to know, how can we gain civil rights? So I want both of you to tell me. We're going to start with you, Brother Mayo. How can we look into this Project 2025? So as the caller said, we got to educate those who are young. How do we get this information where we learn it ourselves, learn it well enough so we can teach it and to people at different levels? Brother Mayo.
First, read the Project 25.
Oh, 925.
No.
Please.
Give each person.
Come on now.
Everybody get a section. There are sections about schooling, education.
It's an edited book.
That's right. So in other words, look into it, come back.
And we get people in their specialty to read that.
Correct.
You can't just say, hey, you take chapter 1, take chapter 2.
No.
Get your area.
I would love to talk about.
Come on. That's what I'm talking about.
But when you do that, then you share that with somebody. And they have a Schoolhouse Rock. I'm seeing something. They got something similar to
Construction junction.
So we can do it. All right, brothers. Go talk to the young brother.
No. But I love that. I don't, because when we talk about this, we say, what can we do as an action item? We're nervous, we're scared. And this is what I tell people. Whenever we go into that, people say they get into a depression. But usually what's followed by depression is a mania. And a mania is this ability to have this extra energy. The question is, do we use it constructively or destructively? So when I'm in that type of mode, I want to read, because now I got this fear, I got this pain, I got this frustration. Do I hit a wall or do I read a book? And if I want to read a book because I want to get better from this pain, I don't want it to make me bitter. I want it to make me better. Now I would coalesce with a community. And as Brother Mayo said, you get a chapter, I get a chapter, and then we come break it down for each other and we do the next step. Brother Barnes, what's your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. You have to educate yourself on this political thing. Please don't ever take everything just from the media and from the news. You have to take time to do some digging. You heard some hot topics on this call today or in the media as you're going to hear about it. Go and read it for yourself, because let me tell you the piece that we can do as it pertains to gaining civil rights and the next steps. Project 2025 is looming over us right now. We've seen that Republicans have taken the majority of the Congress in both the House and the Senate. But then you also have to then understand that there are, although it's a majority by way of the color of the seat that they hold. It's not a majority by way of those who are supporting. You need to know who your United States senators are and what their agenda is, because you can then make a real big difference by lobbying your senators.
All politics are local.
When I tell you all politics are local, you're looking at the Oval Office and you need to know what's going on in your state house right now, in your city council right now. We can still effectuate change and perpetuate change because there are Republicans right now. There was an article that was produced by The Hill some time ago that let us know that there is an anti-Trump kind of semantic going on in the GOP Senate right now. So just because there are 51 senators does not mean there'll always be 51 votes. We can get a good 3 Republican senators that will get either abstain from voting or vote against, and we can then still have the majority. I think we may see more bipartisan politics than we've ever seen before.
Yeah, that's like when McCain put the thumbs down to destroy Obamacare. That was a senator in a vote that they thought they had,
exactly,
but they didn't have it because it didn't make good sense. The Dalai Lama once said something. He said, learn the rules properly so you know how to break them. Wow. My favorite rapper, KRS once said, he said, I go to the library because that's where they bury the lies. So what I tell people is when you look into that book and when you look into Project 2025, and I've read Project 2025, but it's not an easy read and it's not a one-time read. You got to go over and over. That's why your point saying have multiple people. But what I'm saying is learn from it. And then we learn from the old time. Tavis Smiley had the covenant with Black America. What are our asks? And if Meech is what he's saying is we need a seat at the table and we want to be there and we don't want to just be seen. We want to be heard, and not just heard, but our actions implemented. What specific acts do we have? When we look at all other groups, I don't care if it's LGBTQ, if it's Asian, if it's Latino, Hispanic, they come with specific asks.
And that's what I'm talking about.
Come on.
If you don't ask for something, as somebody told me, if you don't open your mouth, you can't get fed.
Man, closed mouths don't get fed. Hey, listen, man. Hey, Brother Cameron Barnes, Brother Michael Mayo Sr., I want to thank you all for this great discussion. I want to tell the people of Milwaukee and all those who are listening by way of YouTube, nationally, internationally, that we're going to be all right. But what we cannot think is we're going to be all right by doing nothing. Right. The reason it's going to be all right is because we're going to galvanize, we're going to unite, we're going to organize, we're going to strategize, we're going to reach within that higher power that's within all of us. We're not going to be afraid. We do not have the spirit of fear. We understand that our mission is to be able to change and catapult the world. But they said the moral arc of the universe is long, but it bends towards justice. We got to keep bending that thing till justice comes. And we know if our people did it, we can. Tune in next week to Nyumba Upendo. This has been Kwaku Amoasi on WNOV 860 AM 106.5. We love you, Milwaukee.